Why is my 4th grade soccer jersey buried in a hole that doesn't exist on any map? Something is wrong with this geocaching app. It all started with a dead link on a retro tech forum. CacheQuest 2004, an abandoned geocaching project. The UI was basic, just a green arrow and a distance tracker. No maps, no names, just coordinates. The first location was only 3 miles away. A local park I haven't visited since I was 7. The app chirped. Cache located. Memory box 01. I began to dig under the slide. Inside was a pair of striped socks. They were mine. I remember losing them at a birthday party in 1995. I thought it was a prank, someone from my past messing with me. But the app's next location was 10 miles deep into the pines. I reached the second cache at midnight. It was buried under a dead oak tree, shaped like a reaching hand. A denim jacket. My name was still written on the tag in my mother's handwriting. Property of Leo. Then the app updated itself. The distance didn't count down. It started counting the time until arrival. I felt watched. The woods weren't empty. Every shadow looked like it was wearing my old clothes. The third cache was inside an abandoned drainage pipe. I had to crawl. The smell of old laundry and ozone filled the tunnel. There, in the center of the pipe, was a pair of blue corduroy pants. They were still warm, like someone had just stepped out of them. A notification popped up on the phone. You are wearing too much. Shed the current. Return to the original. I turned around, but the tunnel exit was gone. There was just more pipe, stretching forever in both directions. I ran, my boots splashing in the shallow water. The app started playing a lullaby my mom used to hum. I found a door in the side of the pipe. It led to a basement, my basement. But the house above it was missing. The fourth cache was the TV itself. I had to reach inside the screen. The glass felt like cold jelly. I pulled out a small, yellow raincoat. I wore this the day my dog went missing, the day I stopped being a kid. The app's voice wasn't a bot anymore. It sounded like me. At age 10. Leo, why did you leave us in the dirt? The basement walls started to bleed VHS tracking lines. The furniture was dissolving into raw pixels. I climbed the stairs, but they led back to the forest. The trees were now draped in miles of magnetic tape. The distance tracker said 0.0 meters. I was standing on the final cache, but there was nothing but a mirror on the ground. The reflection was wearing all the clothes I had found. The jersey, the pants, the jacket. It reached out for my hand. Log your find, the phone whispered. I realized the app wasn't finding things. It was replacing them. It was replacing me. The child stepped out of the mirror. He was crisp, high definition. I was the one fading into 240p. He took the phone from my dissolving hands. He smiled. It was my smile. But his eyes were just empty geocache icons. The last thing I saw was a notification on my own screen. Cache hidden successfully. Location, 1998. Don't download the old apps. Some things are buried for a reason. They aren't memories. They are anchors. End of log. User deleted. The forest grew silent. Too silent. I could hear the magnetic tape dragging across the leaves, slithering like snakes. The sky began to tear, revealing the desktop underneath. I found a shoe. A single Velcro sneaker. It was still tied. The GPS said I was moving, but I was standing perfectly still. A face appeared in the bark of the trees. Faces of everyone I knew in kindergarten. The air tasted like copper and old plastic. The smell of a burning VCR. I saw a swing set in the middle of the deep woods. It wasn't there a second ago. The app sent a photo. It was me, sleeping in my bed tonight. I'm not in the woods anymore. I'm in the app. The ground felt soft. Like walking on a giant mattress. A mailbox stood in the path. It had my childhood address on it. I opened it. It was full of my baby teeth. The teeth started to chatter. They were trying to say my name. The phone vibrated so hard it cracked. Black liquid started leaking from the screen. The liquid formed a shape. A small shadow with a backpack. It pointed at me. You forgot the most important part, it said. I looked down. I was wearing a bib. I was shrinking. The trees were giants now. The grass was as tall as a house. I found a giant's treasure chest. It was my old lunchbox. The latches were stuck. Something was scratching from the inside. I forced it open. It was full of old Polaroids of me. In every photo, my face was scratched out, replaced by a QR code. I scanned one. It opened a video of my own birth. But the baby wasn't crying. It was just emitting a dial-up tone. The trees started to fall over, like cardboard cutouts. The world was running out of memory. The textures were failing. I ran toward the only thing left, a glowing yellow arcade cabinet. The high score was my social security number. I didn't want to play. The joystick was made of bone. It felt warm to the touch. I pushed it forward. My vision filled with scan lines. I was back in the woods. But everything was mirrored. The app said, "Cache found inside you." I felt a lump in my throat. I coughed up a key. A small, brass key for a diary. I knew what it opened. The toy box in the attic. The one we nailed shut. The app was screaming now. A high-pitched digital wail. I saw the entity again. It was wearing my dad's old work boots. "Log your find, Leo," it echoed. It sounded like 1,000 voices at once. I dropped the phone. It landed face up in the mud. The screen showed my heartbeat. It was flatlining, but I was still running. I wasn't the heart anymore. I was the data. I reached a house. It was made of old VHS tapes, millions of them. I went inside. The carpet was magnetic tape. The walls were static. In the living room, my family was sitting. They were all wearing the clothes I found. "You're late for dinner," my mom's voice said. Her mouth didn't move. The TV did. She handed me a plate. It was full of microchips. "Eat your memories," she said, "before they delete you." I ran to the attic. The stairs felt like they were made of teeth. The toy box was there. It was glowing with a fierce red light. I put the key in. The lock screamed. The lid flew open. Inside was the original phone, from 2004. It had one unread text. "From me. Date tomorrow. Don't look behind you," it read. I looked. The entity was inches from my face. It was made of my own skin. It whispered the coordinates of my grave. They were the same as the first cache. I realized I wasn't digging for clothes. I was digging for parts of a body. The clothes weren't empty. They were full of the years I had lost. The house of tapes began to unravel. The sky turned into a format disk prompt. I fell through the floor, through the basement, through the woods. I landed in the first hole. Looking up at the jersey, the man was me. He was holding a phone. He was recording. "I found it," he said into the camera. The first cache. He started shoveling dirt onto me. It felt like pixels hitting my face. Logged," he whispered. "User archived. The geocaching app is still out there.
This is Josue Batista.
Check your attic. Check your woods. Do you know where your childhood clothes are?
AI whisper.
Are you sure they're empty?"